Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this presentation on the highlights of the National Open University of Nigeria Act as amended. I am Dr. Francisca Anene. The Act is very short. It's made up of 23 sections and 3 schedules. It was initially enacted in 1983 and then was suspended the next year, but was reactivated in 2002 and then was amended. Some sections were amended in 2018. Now, it's important to note remains in force. Without the Act, the Noun Act, there is no noun. There is no tertiary institution called noun. That's why it's significant, and that's why we should know about it. It is what gives noun the legal backing to operate and to perform the functions that the different bodies in noun perform and to exercise the powers that the act itself has given to the institution. And that is how it is for every institution in Nigeria. They are established by statutes. And it also is what establishes nouns special status as the sole single mode tertiary institution, ODL institution in Nigeria. Okay, so the highlights I'm going to be talking about are just 3. I will talk about the amendment, 2018 amendment. I'll talk about nouns, social justice mandate, and corporate personality. The amendment in 2018 became necessary because of some changes over time. It's not that the 1983 Act was bad. It's just that there was a need to bring the Noun Act to speed in line with technological changes and all of that, in line with changes over time, particularly considering the significance as we have been talking about. So some of the highlights of the amendment in 2018 were the change of name from National Open University to National Open University of Nigeria, the change of the section that had to do with methods of instructional delivery to bring them in line with technological changes, because in the 1983 Act, it basically said that the mode of instruction would be mainly by correspondence, supplemented by TV broadcasts, radio broadcasts, lectures, and sometimes seminars. There was a need to recognize that instructional delivery in Nigeria is dependent on technology, and to capture it in such a way that as technology changes, the act does not become obsolete. So that's what was done. So it became, the mode of instructional delivery was amended to reflect that now uses a multi-modal system made up of a variety of media and technologies. In effect, no matter what the technology is, it will be captured under this section. And then it was also necessary to establish in writing and formally that now is a full-time institution, because we know all the issues that arose as a result of law not being accredited, because they said law in noun is studied part-time and all that, and then to make provision for face-to-face learning and for clinical education, professional internships and all that, particularly for courses that depend on laboratory training and all that. And then again to amplify now social justice mandate. So those were some of the amendments that were made in 2018. The second highlight I will be talking about is the social justice mandate. It's important to note that this mandate is unique to now. First of all, let me just explain what social justice means. Social justice means equal access to wealth in a nation or in a community, wealth, services, and all that. Equal access without discrimination. So everyone has liberal access on equal terms, regardless of his personal, where he personally finds himself. Now, only now has that mandate out of all the Nigerian tertiary institutions, whilst other statutes establishing tertiary institutions would say that everyone would be granted access to study in the institution regardless of their creed, their gender, and all of that. It is only now that has an express mandate to reach the unreached, to take tertiary education to those who, by virtue of their specific status in life, will be unable to access conventional tertiary education. And this forms a cardinal point of the Noun Act, both in the 1983 Act and further amplified in the 2018 Act by expressly referring to social justice. Some of the elements of now social justice mandate will include, as I've said, liberalized access to higher education regardless of age, lifelong learning, and the mode of instructional delivery make this possible. And then provision of tertiary education throughout Nigeria and beyond. Location is not a barrier. And then for disadvantaged sectors of the Nigerian society, people who wouldn't be able to access conventional or face-to-face education, tertiary education. So people in the prisons, women in PUDA and all that, people who through one disability or the other will be limited if they were to try to seek tertiary education. That is where Noun comes in. Noun has the mandate to reach such people specifically. And so you know that Noun has study centers in prisons. Noun is actively driving the community study center um, principle or policy and all of that. That's in line with Noun social justice mandate. It's important to point out that when you hear social justice, or when you hear that Noun graduated, even matriculated 16,000 students, it's not a matter of numbers. It's not because it's something to boast about. It's because it is the fulfillment of a mandate to reach the unreached. It's in this mandate in Nigeria because as it is now, all the universities in Nigeria put together, public, private, are not enough. They don't have the capacity to absorb the population of prospective learners that Nigeria has. We have heard it said that the majority of the Nigerian population are the youths, and those are the people yearning, particularly apart from all the other age groups, for tertiary education. And all the universities in Nigeria cannot absorb them. So, for instance, the National Bureau of Statistics reported in 2017 that out of 11 million applicants to JAMB, only 25%, less than 25%, actually 22.8 or something percent, could be absorbed into universities. What happens to the remaining 75%? That is where Noun comes in. Noun has, by virtue of the social justice mandate, will be able to mop up these numbers because they don't have to come and sit in the classroom. But that will not impact on quality. Even the Act recognizes that. So you find in various parts of the Act reference to quality, international standards, benchmarking, and all that. And you hear from time to time, as a Noun staff, I'm sure it's not news to any of us anymore. There's always one training or the other. It's to build capacity. And build capacity for what? For several reasons, but one of them being the fulfillment of Noun's social justice mandate. And the highlight of the Noun Act that I'm going to be talking about is Noun's corporate legal personality. Noun, by virtue of Section 1, subsection 1, is a body corporate with perpetual succession. In the eyes of the law, Noun is seen as a person. It has the rights that human beings have, and it also has some rights, some privileges. So, for instance, it has the right to sue and defend in its own name, and it has the right to hold and dispose of property. And taking it further, Nigerian law, not just Nigerian law, any law, the law courts interpret this provision of any which creates any body corporate to mean that that body corporate is like a human being. It has body parts. So London in Bolton Engineering specifically stated that the company has a head or nerve center, a brain or nerve center, which controls the body, and then the hands and other body parts which do the work. So if that I'm going to show us now, you can see from the image, this let's assume that this is noun. It has a head and it has body, and you can see nerves flowing from the head down to other parts of the body. This head is the brain and the nerve center, according to law courts, and it is made up of the principal officers of noun, duly constituted and established under the Noun Act, section 2, 3 to 7 of the Act, if you go back and look at it. And then you have the body of the body of noun. We make up the body. The noun staff, academic, administrative, and technical, make up the body. If you look at section 14 of the Act, what am I driving at by pointing this out? We all, every member of staff of noun, are important in our different sections. We contribute significantly to the success of this body, and we must work together if we want the benefits for this body, which the law sees as a human being, like a human being, to if we want these benefits to be maximized, we must work together in congruence. We may have different levels of responsibility. However, everyone is responsible personally for his actions in the exercise of his personal duty. And I must also add, also protected in the performance of his functions as long as he performs it within the ambit of the law. Talking about SIMS is about the Noun Act, which gives now the National Open University of Nigeria the legal backing to operate, to exist. So without the Noun Act, there's no noun. And then I've talked about some highlights, the 2018 amendment of noun, noun's social justice mandate, and noun being a living person recognized by law and possessing of rights, and we being parts of that living person and being important to the functioning of that living person. So I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you all for listening and taking part in this training. And I want to thank the management of this institution for giving us the opportunity, to take part in different various trainings. And significantly, particularly, I'd like to thank our distinguished, eminent facilitator general, Professor Kebukola, for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. Thanks very much and have a very good day.